Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting back to order from closed session for the Board of Education for Torrance Unified School District, meeting September 2nd, 2008. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask our Vice President this evening, Mr. Murasucci, to lead us in that.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Murasucci. I'd like to welcome our guests this evening as we get started. We have Councilmember Fury here, who's going to be speaking to us in just a moment. Welcome, Mr. Fury. I'll take a motion at this point to adopt the agenda from a board member.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. As we get started, I'd like to make a statement. In the Carmen Bean matter, the matter will be heard this evening at the conclusion of the regular meeting. Moving in then into the report of closed session and the actions the board took. In closed session on September 2nd, 2008, the Board of Education voted unanimously to accept waivers for one student in the class of 2008, student number 1011482, 5 students in the class of 2009, student numbers 415739, 425697, 446323, 525885, 1004531, and 2 students in the class of 2010, student numbers 455712 and 1006693 for using a modification on the California High School exit examination pursuant to Education Code 60851C. Also this evening, the Board of Education in closed session voted unanimously to approve the following new administrative appointments. The first is Sandy Scora, who will be the new principal at Adams Elementary School. So Sandy, will you please stand? Yes, congratulations, Sandy. You're welcome. And thank you for being here. I just want to read a little bit about Sandy. Sandy has served as assistant principal at Hickory since August of 2007. She previously served at the Manhattan Beach School District as a teacher on special assignment, grade 6 science teacher at Manhattan, and a grade 6 science teacher at Manhattan Beach Middle School. She received her BS at California Polytechnic University in 1986 and her MA at the Claremont Graduate School in 1989. So again, congratulations, Sandy. I'd also like to recognize Aaron Lahr, new principal at Edison Elementary School, effective August 18th. So Aaron, please stand. Yes, welcome. Congratulations, Aaron. Aaron comes to us from the Inner City Education Foundation Public Schools in Los Angeles, where she served as the Director of Teacher Development. She previously served in our district as a staff development resource teacher from October 2006 to January 2008, and as a teacher in kindergarten and 1st and 5th grades at Hickory Elementary from September 1998 to October 2006. She received her BA at UCLA in 1985 and her MA at CSUDH in 2006. So welcome back to the district, Aaron. Finally, Rosa Isaiah, assistant principal at Hickory Elementary School. Rosa, please stand. Congratulations, Rosa. Rosa comes to us from the Lawndale Elementary School District, where she recently served as a summer school principal for the district-wide programs and language arts specialists at Billy Mitchell Elementary School. She also served as a teacher on special assignment and staff liaison at Lucille Smith Elementary School and bilingual resource specialist at a grade 2 teacher at Carson FDR Elementary School. She received her BA at California State University, Dominguez Hills. Mr. Murasucci. He did the UCLA one. you know?
No one noticed except you.
Yeah, oh, I noticed. And her MA at California State University, Northridge in 2006. So welcome, Rosa. You're welcome. Okay, moving on then to our recognition section. We have the Honorable Patrick Fury here from the Torrance Ed Foundation. Mr. Fury. We'll give him one of those.
Thank you, Dr. Ernst and
That's right.
Board, Dr. Mannon and Cabinet, those watching on television, those in the audience today. I am here tonight as the president of the Torrance Education Foundation, and the whole purpose of the Education Foundation, as everybody here knows, is to enrich the educational experience of the students of the Torrance School District. We do that in many ways, but the major reason I'm here tonight is I have a check to give to the school district in the amount of $110,000. And I'm going to give this to Dr. Stabler, who's smiling right now. That $110,000 represents residual monies that the Education Foundation and the community raised back in 2005 when we were fighting the class size reduction. Mm-hmm. And over this summer, when we were facing the budgetary constraints that you guys are facing right now, we discussed it with Dr. Mannon, other members of the board, as well as the Education Foundation Board and the Torrance Parents Organization, who assisted us in raising those funds. And we decided that we had held that money in a trust for the community, looking for a rainy day for the community, for our school district. And I looked out the window that day, and it was really pouring because of the budget crisis. So it was determined that we would give the money to this district and enable the district to keep the class sizes smaller by that degree. In addition, that same group of people, including the Torrance Council of PTAs and the Education Foundation and the Torrance Parents Organization, as well as other members of the community, decided to ask the community to give some money from their tax rebates that they were getting for a stimulus purpose. We were not as successful as I would have hoped, but at last count, we probably have about $115,000 in that account. We're still getting money from the matching funds from employers, so that money is a little fluid. We're figuring out a way to send out our thank you letters, et cetera, and then we will be providing the district with about $115,000 more to assist with the budgetary crisis. So that should come in the next 2 weeks, I imagine, so that'll help out in that. So a little bit more of a commercial for the Education Foundation. This last year, we awarded a little bit more than $80,000 in scholarships to our graduating seniors, more than $50,000 in teacher grants. We also granted $10,000 for the academic decathlons to all 4 of our high schools for their teams. But the special programs that we're going to do this year, the board decided that we were going to actually create 4 classrooms of the 21st century. We're going to fund the development of those throughout the district, and we're hopeful to have them in each of the quadrants of the city. In addition, the board has decided to fund completely a brand new state-of-the-art career center at Sherry High School. And the purpose of this, both of those elements, is that the corporate sponsors that we have in the community, as well as the community members and the educators in the community, can actually see these things. They'll be able to come in and see the classroom of the 21st century and see what we can build here, what we can have for our students if we all work together for it. And it's the same thing with the Career Center. We have corporate donors who give well to the Education Foundation, but we have to show them what we can build and what we can do. And so this is the first one. Sherry doesn't have it. We have some very excited people over there who are really ready to run with it, and they've demonstrated to us in a presentation what they can provide, and we're very excited about that and very happy to provide that. And one of the last things I have to point out is that the Board of the Torrance Education Foundation voted to give $10,000 as seed money, hopefully, for the bond measure. And to the Education Foundation, we find that the bonds are a necessary thing. It's a necessary evil. Evil because we have to do it, but it's a necessary thing because our schools are sorely in need of it. I say this many times when I'm in the community, is that you poor people are doing such a great job that when we ride by our schools on the outside, they look darn good. The curb appeal is really magnificent if they knew how hard it was to raise the money to do that, or to get it out of your limited funds. So I would encourage the community to get out there, look inside the schools. Don't just look at the curb, go inside and see what they look like, and they will know what we know, that we are sorely in need of these bond measures. The board has voted to, as I said, give you the money for the board, or to donate the money to the board campaign, to the bond campaign, and to work very vigorously to get these bonds passed. And I charge you all, as well as everybody in the educational community, to get out there and let's fight for this and make it successful in November. And thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you.
I just want to say, and I've been told I need to speak into the camera, so I apologize to the rest of you. But Mr. Fury, we want to say thank you for your tireless work on the Ed Foundation, and for this donation, of course, and for working with the SOS campaign so tirelessly too, and certainly for the bond contributions. And we continue to appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Okay, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, we get a picture. Just.
I haven't had a picture in
Bring back
a
the
couple
check.
days.
Yeah, give him the check. For deposit only.
We need one of those golf tournament checks.
That's very official.
One more. There you go. One more.
We're late now.
There you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks very much.
Look at it, boy,
Oh, boy. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the Torrance Sister City Association Student Delegation to Kashiwa. And who gets to introduce this, Dr. Manning? Is that me?
You are introduced, okay.
You are introducing them here and now.
Back there, right there.
Ah, very good. Well, I'm going to introduce then Ms. Kay Ujimura, who's their leader. So, Kay, why don't you come forward and introduce those students and maybe talk a little bit, it looks like, about the program. Would be great. Yeah, that's great.
Honorable members of the Board of Education, good evening. My name is Kei Ujimori, and I am the adult leader for the Torrance Sister City Association for 2008. This is the 35th delegation of the exchange program. The purpose of this trip is to provide cultural and educational experience for the students and families, as well as to promote understanding and friendship between Torrance and Kashiwa. Let's see, some of the qualifications that the student needs to be an ambassador to go to Kashiwa is that they must currently be enrolled in a Torrance high school, or as a sophomore, junior, or a senior, or be in college and be no older than 19 years old at the time of the trip. The student must be a full-time resident of the city of Torrance. The trip to Japan is about 3 weeks, and we lived with 2 families, 10 days each. And during that time, we were taken to all different places in Kyoto, Hiroshima, and a lot of places in Kashiwa and Tokyo. In return, the Torrance students are expected to participate in the Torrance Sister City activities. When the Kashiwa students come from Kashiwa, we go with them to Disneyland or to the Torrance Bakery and decorate cakes. To participate with them, and the Torrance Sister City provides the funding so that none of our students have to pay. They must also be a member of the Torrance Sister City Student Club, which meets once a month and plan fundraising activities and provide services for the community at large. They will be helping out at the Schweitzer Center for this year. And the applications will be coming out in October, and they are due at the end of December. Let's see. Two of the students are not able to come today because of school. Because of conflicts in their schedule. But I would like to introduce the students that went to Japan this year. First is Erin Burton. If you guys can all come up here. Erin Burton, high school, West High senior. Danielle Jimian, who is at SC currently. She has a class from 6 to 8, so she won't be able to come, but she was a graduate of West High. Chasen Hayashi, also a graduate of West High. He will be going to Cal State Los Angeles on the 18th. Derek Namimoto, Torrance High School senior, also the president of the student club. Melissa Shintani, graduate of North High. She's currently she's at UC Irvine, and she's just telling me about her living situation. Let's see. Kenji Ueki is a Torrance High. He will be a junior, but he isn't able to come today. Blaine Yamauchi, also a senior at North High. And Jamie Yoshida, currently a junior at West High. And I think 2 of us will be speaking. Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay, so I guess we sit down then. I'm sorry.
We'll get you back up, that's all right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Derek Namimoto. The 8 of us were all chosen out of 23 well-qualified applicants for this program. And we went through several weeks of orientation to get ready for this trip and to get ready for the experiences that we will have. We all looked at, when we went to Japan, we became more than just friends. We became one big family. We all looked out for each other and had each other's backs, and we all made many great new friends out there too. Going to Kyoto and Hiroshima was one of the many great experiences we had together. We saw many great temples and shrines, and we also experienced a Japanese traditional tea ceremony. And from going to the tea ceremony, we also experienced Japanese kendo, which is bamboo sword game. We played with the high school students, yeah. And this trip was really a memory. I made so many lifelong memories with all these other people in Japan, and for the rest of my life, I always remember the many great experiences I made on this exchange program and the time I spent with all the people out there and my new friends and host families. And I love them, and I will never forget them. I'll never forget the time I spent with all my exchange students. Thank you.
I'm Chasen Hayashi, and Derek and I speak for all of us in what we did and how much we enjoyed this trip. When we went to Japan, what really stood out was how interested they were in America and American things. When we got off the plane, we're on the bus to Kashiwa, and we're looking around at everything, and, oh, hey, that business is in America, and so on. And one of the things that really impressed us, especially Aaron and myself, because we were members of the West High Band, was when we went to the Kashiwa Municipal High School and listened to their band. We always heard our band directors say how great they are and how disciplined they are. But when we were sitting there and we're like, wow, you could replace anybody in our band and with one of these people, and they'd just blow everybody away. We had a lot of fun trying new foods and different things. Aaron had a lot of fun with the Japanese candy. I think he spent about a day in a candy store. Let's see. The tea ceremony was interesting for a lot of us just because we had never seen it or done it before, and we didn't realize how complex it was. Another thing was the superstitions or the religious sort of things in Japan. Like at one of the temples, they had some incense burning, and what you do is you walk up and you bring it on yourself, and at that temple it was supposed to make you smarter. So Aaron's become twice as smart. Another place that we went was called Kiyomizudera, and what they're famous for is the 3 waterfalls that they have there. And one is supposed to make you smart, one is supposed to make you rich, and one is supposed to make you healthy. We all drank from the same one, but I don't know which one that was yet. But we definitely had a lot of fun meeting the students in Japan and learning about Japanese culture and sharing American culture. Actually, the hardest thing to explain was the school system out here because theirs is so different. They only have 3 years of high school, and we have 4, obviously. So they had a lot of questions about school. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We want to say thank you. We want to get you up here for a picture, but this is a great program that the Sister City Association puts together, clearly, for graduates of Torrance Unified, and gives them just a fantastic opportunity to see the world, really, and participate in that. So I have a recognition for the Torrance Sister City Association. Says this certificate is awarded for sponsoring the Student Cultural Exchange Program for 2008, given this second day of September 2008, and the board has signed that. So you take our students to Japan and we give you a certificate. I think that's more than fair for us. Congratulations, and students come on up. We'll get a picture. Thank you.
You bring your kendo sticks with you guys. Parents can take pictures too. There's a few parents here. Look how pretty red and blue.
Okay.
Yeah, these are new.
I love them.
Okay, 2 pictures when you're ready. 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. 2.
Congratulations.
All right, thanks, guys. Very nice.
Thank you.
We'll understand if you need to leave and do your homework. It's okay.
No homework.
I know. I was waiting for them to say that.
2 elementaries.
Not yet.
Thank you for coming. All right, we'll move on from the recognition, which is always a good time, especially when we're getting checks, Dr. Stabler. We do not have any staff presentation or information. We do not have public hearings, so we'll move on to oral communications for non-agenda items. And are there any of those? Does not look like it, so we'll move on then to the discussion action items. Number 1 is a call for nominations for the California School Board Association Directors at Large, Asian Pacific Islander, and Hispanic section. And
I keep on getting
so,
invited to one of those.
Mr. Marsucci, are you on that?
I want to focus all my energies on the school bond campaign, so I respectfully decline.
Okay, so is there anybody else who would like to step up and serve on that, or put your name in the hat to serve on that? Okay, moving on then.
Yes, yeah, I was like, okay.
There you have it. We are going to be busy with the bond campaign, of course. Number 2 then is to approve the ratification of the emergency resolution AS 04-08/809 for an emergency contract for mold remediation and painting of Jefferson Middle School. So we need to have a motion on that
So
first.
moved.
Thank you, and a second. Thank you, Mr. Marsucci. Dr. Stabler.
Thank you very much. As the board's aware, Public Contract Code requires any time work to be done is estimated to be greater than $15,000, there's a requirement that the Board of that the district ask for bids, advertise, and receive bids from various contractors. When we became aware of this situation at Jefferson Middle School, and it was specific to the covered walkways, just because of being old and needing painting, there was mold. There was an expectation that there was mold in some of the covered walkways, some areas like that. It was recommended by our maintenance department that we move forward with that project. There would not have been time to actually advertise for bids, open bids, start construction prior to the opening of school. So what we're asking the board for tonight is, number one, is to approve this emergency resolution that says that because of the situation, we needed to go forward without bids. And number two, to ratify the contract with Bentley Garcia for that particular project. Originally, when it was brought to me, it was estimated to be about $32,000. When staff went out and got quotes for it, it actually came to $24,000. So the actual quote is different than what was originally estimated, but it still is above the $15,000, which is required under Public Contracts Code. So I'm asking for here is the emergency resolution and the ratification of the contract.
I'll make a motion to approve both.
We've already got a motion in a second, actually,
Oh,
so.
that's right.
Yeah.
The resolution was included in that motion?
Yes.
The first one.
But thank you, Mr. Lee. And then a question from Mrs. Reagans?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I'm understanding that the reason for it being an emergency is not because it's a life-threatening or dangerous situation to
No,
our
not at all.
students in any way, but that it needed to be done in a timely manner to be done by school start.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Reagans. Mr. Mersucci.
Yes, Dr. Stabler, I may have missed the part, but you said that after some inspection that the mold was discovered, but when was it discovered?
It was discovered about 2 weeks ago when they were on campus, going through the campus. Actually, it was the new assistant principal there was made our maintenance department aware of it, and so they had our environmental company, which is called InCorp, go out and do some tests, and they said there was the presence of possible mold. But because of the need to get rid of that, and then once you do that, because you've done all the sandblasting and everything else, it's necessary to do the painting. So we recommended completing the project all at this time.
I know you just confirmed that it's not an emergency because it's
No.
life-threatening, but is there any indication that it could be a potential health
No.
hazard?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? It doesn't look like it, so I'll call for the vote. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on then to discussion action item number 3, which is to approve the ratification of emergency resolution number AS-05-0809 for an emergency contract for sand removal at Towers Elementary School. Again, actually, hold on just a
Move
moment.
to
We need a
approve.
motion, thank you.
Second.
In a second. Okay, now Dr. Stabler.
Thank you. Same situation, not enough time actually before the opening of school. If the board will recall, in the springtime, we were working with the Department of Toxic Substance Control concerning the sandbox at Towers because of the presence of some lead fragments that had come from the Redondo Beach shooting range, police shooting range. We'd been working with DTSC. They'd been doing some testing there. They'd been doing some testing on some other areas of the campus. We have been in communication. Mr. Fielding had been in communication with them all summer, hoping to get a resolution of how we could bring that sandbox back to full usage. Finally, DTSC gave us approval to go forward with basically sucking all the sand out of the sandbox, having the sand tested, and the reason, if you'll look at the agenda item in the contract you're ratifying, it's not to exceed, and that's because once the sand is sucked out of the sandbox, then it will be tested. And depending on what that lead content turns out to be, then they will tell us how it has to be disposed of, whether it has to be disposed of as a hazardous material, and whether it has to be just disposed of as, there's a middle category, or just as regular sand. And obviously, the regular sand would be the least costly. Then the other part of that project, again, would be to have the contractor come back in and replace new sand into that sandbox. And again, when we were notified about a week ago of this, we felt that, again, this is a very appropriate use of the emergency resolution. We did get quotes. In both of these, I want to assure the board that this is not a single quote. We had 3 quotes from 3 qualified contractors on each one of the bids, each one of the requests.
Mr. Lee, you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we, this lead allegedly or quite possibly came from a neighboring city's municipal gun range. Can we please ask them to reimburse us?
I have every intention of doing that, Mr. Lee.
Okay, well.
They got that message on Friday.
I delivered the message on
Yes,
Friday.
Dr. Manning delivered the message.